Welcome back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. A video today from ManHub. Women are quitting their jobs because it's too hard for them. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. It's chow time.
Have you noticed something strange happening in the workforce? It seems a growing number of women are leaving their jobs. Is this a new trend or just a blip on the radar? We certainly can't understand it. Work is work, right?
Yeah.
We all have bills to pay and responsibilities to fulfill. So what's causing this sudden change? Are they overwhelmed by the workload?
Some are, some women, just because it's a busy day, they're like, oh my God, it's so busy. I don't know what to do. I'm sure many of us have experienced this type of scenario.
They simply decided the challenges aren't worth the effort? Is the modern workplace simply too demanding for today's woman? What happened to their constant demand for gender equality? We thought they were perfectly okay with doing it. In today's video, we'll be talking about women quitting their jobs because it's too hard for them. Let's get right into it.
Guys, I want to quit my job. I want to quit my job so bad.
It's just that I don't want to work my whole life doing a job I hate.
I just walked out of my job.
That's the thing, right? Women were told, did you think even women were going to have all jobs that they loved? When working, you think men were just out there shoveling snow, working in coal mines, working on oil rigs, just like this, yeah, bitches. Oh yeah, I get all that money. These bitches don't get anything. You think it's like that? No, it's not. These men are out there toiling and dying and putting their freaking bodies into freaking vices, in a sense, just to get the money for you ladies to be the way you are.
My job is super stressful, and it's been
Seeing videos on my For You page from white women talking about how they want to go back to the 1950s housewife era when women weren't working.
Why is it that I have to work 40 hours a week just so I can have a place to live?
Is Mary?
Many young women in the workplace seem to dislike their jobs as if they haven't accepted the reality that work is a necessity for living.
Yep.
This attitude can create a tense atmosphere, but there's a deeper issue at play.
I mean, they don't have to work. They can actually technically live with their parents and do all these things like back in the day. And I'm sure most parents are going to be somewhat okay with it for their daughters to do this. But they don't get the freedom to be able to live out on the streets and do whatever they want when they live with their moms and dads like that, because they're controlled. This is why they do out on their own, and guess what? They get fucked over.
Right now, the most dangerous people in an office might be these young women. If they decide they don't like you, it can jeopardize your job security. Their dislike might be from a variety of reasons. Maybe you don't get along, or you refuse to do favors or extra chores for them. It doesn't matter if they're less skilled or significantly younger than you. HR and management often side with them, making the situation feel like a nightmare. With this, most men might say the safest course of action is to avoid interacting with women in the office altogether.
That's why I tell you guys, don't shit where you sleep.
This might seem extreme, but it's seen by some as a way to protect their job.
I don't know who, as a woman, voted for the women's right to work. I don't think women should work. I think women should go
It's funny because women didn't even vote for it and men voted for it.
to the pool. Thank you.
I'm mad. I have to go to work. I have to earn a living. I'd rather have a private income and get laid well and often.
Guys, I want to quit my job.
Private income and get laid well and often. Wouldn't that be just a prostitute?
I want to quit my job so bad. You mean to tell me that this is supposed to be the rest of my life?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
You mean to tell me that every day for the rest of forever, I'm supposed to wake up, drive into work, and get yelled at by strangers for shit I didn't do?
Yep.
And I'm supposed to accept that? No.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't be me. Not gonna happen. Oh my God. I hate it. I hate it. You know what? I'm gonna get a new job. And that new job, I'm gonna be a caterpillar. I'm gonna be a caterpillar. I'm gonna live on a leaf. And
is this why these people identify as animals now? so they can be taken care of like in a zoo without having to work or something. That's what it is.
I'm never gonna have to explain how to do things that someone could just fucking Google ever again. Why am I here? Literally, my job, just Google it. That's my whole job, just Google it.
The laws, policies, and regulations that mandated hiring quotas for women in leadership roles are now outdated and irrelevant. These rules were supposed to level the playing field, but in reality, they've caused more harm than good. If anyone challenges this, ask them to define what a woman is. They'll often struggle to give a clear answer. Imagine a hiring scenario where you're told you must hire a woman to meet these outdated quotas. You can simply state, I identify as a woman.
Oh, okay, just a quick update on the Finding Singles event. I have not been able to find a single one that's not paid. I have searched quite a bit. There's a few like $40, $50 ones, but there's a lot of them that are like $250, guys. I'll show you guys later in another video, but I just wanted to mention that. I'm trying to find a singles event that's free. I don't want to pay for this shit.
And suddenly, the issue disappears. It simply holds back the value that allows businesses to focus on hiring the best person for the job without being bogged down by quotas that don't make sense anymore. Equal Employment Opportunity, EEO, and similar laws were designed to protect various classifications, but identity politics and the push for diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, have made these laws virtually unenforceable. The emphasis on identity over merit has undermined the original purpose of these regulations. Businesses should have the freedom to hire the most qualified individuals without being forced to meet arbitrary quotas.
And this is where I'm a business owner myself. We have business, we have donut shops. We really only hire family and Cambodians. It's not like that we're trying to be racist or anything. It's just these are the people that we work with, and we rather hire our own people. And we're more comfortable with this. But imagine the government telling us small businesses, family small shops, to say you have to hire white people or another black people or something. But it's like we can't even afford to hire our own people. Like, how can we do these things? It's just, how I see it as business owner side of things. We don't like the government telling us what to do. We don't like government taxing us for whatever the fuck they want to tax us for, majority of the time.
It's time to move past these outdated regulations and focus on what really matters, finding the best people for the job, regardless of gender.
A day in my life getting laid off at Google. So I woke up to this really ominous text from my boss, and I honestly had no idea what it was going to be about. So I called her the minute I woke up and saw this, and she told me to check the news and my email. So I rushed downstairs to find out that I had lost access to basically everything. I couldn't log into my email or even check my calendar. I called my boss back, and we just sobbed over the phone because she was also finding out about my layoff for the first time today too. I started getting calls from a bunch of my coworkers and started finding out who else was let go on my team and some neighbors teams as well. But I think the worst part is that it seems like no one was consulted on this decision and everyone was just finding out about the layoffs at the same time. It just felt like a really bad game of Russian roulette, and there was no consistency around who was let go. It was also not performance-based, so it just felt really random. I opened up LinkedIn, which honestly was not great for my mental health. There were so many people who were in the same boat that were both equally as shocked and blindsided, but it did help me feel a little less alone. Honestly,
Iceland provides a clear example of how our modern society sometimes gets things wrong when it comes to women in the workplace. The reactions from companies in the country really highlight this issue. Some men are feeling hesitant about working alongside women these days. A big part of this is because of how things have unfolded with the You or Me Too movement and the way false accusations often grab headlines.
Yeah, damn, this freaking AI chat thing sucks.
In an ideal world, offices should be spaces where everyone can focus on their work without getting caught up in unnecessary drama or gossip. But unfortunately, sometimes women can bring in those kinds of distractions. While companies might not openly talk about it, many are starting to realize this challenge. The truth is, the more women they have on their teams, the higher the chances of conflicts and distractions cropping up, which can impact productivity and profits. Despite what the media might suggest, The reality within many organizations is that having more women around can sometimes make the work environment less stable and efficient. It's a tough issue, and businesses are finding themselves quietly reducing the number of women they hire to try and keep things running smoothly.
I mean, there's a reason why there's not very many women-owned and women-only operated and owned businesses. There are some, I'm not saying there aren't, but there's very few, especially in the major corporate industry in the world, because things just have to be ran a certain way, and a lot of women aren't built to be running things that way.
But it's a delicate balance, and finding the right path forward will likely require a lot of thought and consideration.
So 100,000 women went on strike today in Iceland to demand gender equality. The entire population is 370,000. So over 25% of the population went on strike, and I have some crazy news for you. The economy did not come to a stop, and it continued as normal. The only memo I got was that HR departments were getting no complaints for the 24 hours that the women were on strike. And men were writing that they were really sorry women didn't get gender equality, but I heard one CEO said it was nice to finally get some shit done.
So recently in Iceland, women went on strike. And interestingly, the economy didn't seem to notice. In fact, a CEO made a remark that it was nice to finally get some real work done without interruptions. Here's the thing. Women often approach their jobs the same way they handle their personal relationships.
Talking.
When working with men, we challenges head-on, discussing the problem and finding a solution efficiently. It's all about the task at hand, not about feelings or personal issues. However, when a man has to deal with a woman in the same capacity, whether it's a supplier, a subcontractor, or someone handling insurance renewals, be ready to face unnecessary obstacles. Calls go unanswered, voicemails and emails are left unreturned, and it feels like I'm constantly having to start over. In many cases, I end up seeking out a male colleague to get things moving forward again. If you take a closer look at the backgrounds of the women working around you, you'll notice a troubling trend. For example, imagine someone with a political science degree and experience as a paralegal and swim coach being put in charge of the budget management division.
Yeah.
It's no surprise that such a person would struggle with the job and lead to poor results. Another example is a woman with an associate's degree in graphic design heading the program analysis division. What happened to hiring people based on their qualifications and relevant experience? It's crazy to see that these women, often lacking the proper qualifications, are the ones making the workplace difficult for everyone else. These women tend to create a miserable work environment. No matter how hard you try to please them or make things work, it's never enough.
It's just women in general. It's so hard to please them when workplaces are tailoring to these type of things. Workplaces become miserable for men. Really miserable.
They always find something to complain about or criticize, making it clear that some people are just impossible to satisfy. Placing women who lack the right qualifications and experience in important roles brings more harm than good to the workplace. It leads to incompetence and a toxic work environment, where efforts to improve things are met with constant dissatisfaction. Socializing in the workplace can become a significant issue, especially with female coworkers. Often it seems that their main focus is on social interactions, with actual work taking a back seat. Female colleagues may become highly irritated if you don't engage in their conversations or show interest in their concerns.
We know, right? If you don't even want to share your personal life, all of a sudden it's hostile work environment. Like, girl, just trying to work.
They frequently complain about a lack of empathy if their issues are not acknowledged, which can be frustrating. Gender quotas, in my opinion, tend to do more harm than good. They seem to be driven by a feminist agenda, prioritizing quotas over practical reality.
That's where I agree.
Sometimes the law contradicts common sense. As an employer, I would prefer hiring qualified men over less qualified women simply to meet legal requirements. Reality should take precedence over quotas, ensuring that the best person for the job is hired. And it doesn't even end there. Men in the workplace often feel they are perceived as a constant threat by their female counterparts.
That we do.
A simple look can result in being labeled a creep. Men are proud and do not tolerate this kind of slander and disrespect. This dynamic is one of the reasons men are distancing themselves from women at work. Large organizations might hire women primarily to meet quotas, not based on their qualifications. The Me Too movement didn't help companies much. They realized that having women around could be risky. Nowadays, many companies prefer not to hire women at all. Over the past 10 years or so, there's been a push for gender equality, especially in the workplace. Laws forced companies to hire more women, even if they didn't want to. They had to meet certain quotas, like having a certain number of women on their boards or in top positions. It's like walking through a minefield when you're working with women. You never know when they'll turn on you. Men know they have to watch their backs, but women don't seem to care. They know that society will always take their side, no matter what. They can make up lies about a man and ruin his career without any consequences. It's not fair, but that's just how things are now. Companies are starting to see that having women around isn't worth the risk.
Shout outs to Man Hub. Not the greatest of videos, but it wasn't too bad. Just a little bit of spots here and there with the AI voice messing up. But that's AI voice for you. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. I'll catch you guys next time.